okay? Yeah, I'll make it sad. And so I'm waiting for them to give me the beat so I can do it. And then I see them talking, and they come back in, and they're like, actually, can you make that line happy sad? That was the actual direction I got from these producers, and I thought it was all my fault. But then I realized, I'm like, wait a minute, no, it's you. You guys stink. And so, I was like, yeah, I can make that happy sad. And so I just went back to my first read, and then they're like, perfect.
That's the way it goes, man. You go all the way around the world and you end up back in the same place. Well, I've had the same kind of thing where, and I guess I have an abundance of confidence where if I'm working in a situation like that, it doesn't make me feel bad or want to quit the business. I'm like, this just means you're an idiot, So, and then you tough it out. But then, the next time that person calls, then you can think twice whether you want to accept the job.
I actually walked away from a job because of that. We were on the same two lines for 45 or 50 minutes, back and forth, and I'm reading it this way and reading it this way, and I'm getting frustrated. The director's giving me conflicting. He didn't speak English very well, he was French, and I finally stopped the session. I went, it's obvious I'm not what you're looking for. And why don't we just part friends right now? And he agreed, and we left, and that was it. So yeah, so sometimes you kind of have to do that.
I had an experience like that with a terrible Dreamcast game Sega put out called Blue Stinger. You guys know this story? Okay, so Japanese director, we've done everything except the narration, the trailer for the game. And so I'm reading through and he goes, so new from Sega, coming soon, Blue Stinger. And this Japanese director, she goes, no. Blue Stinger. Oh, okay, I'll do it like that. Coming soon from Sega Entertainment. Blue Stinger. No. Blue Stinger. No. Blue Stinger. Blue Stinger. No. I swear to God, they took take 24 of Blue and take 78 of Stinger, and I was ready to quit that job that day. Thank God it was the last thing we had to record. And then here's the real bummer. The game comes out, I get my copy, I play through it, and I'm going, new from Sega, Blue Stinger.
To keep things positive though, to answer your question, these are pretty rare stories, right? I mean, in general, I would say that people in animation and video games are really positive. That being said, I once spent 3.5 hours on a 30-second McDonald's radio commercial in a studio, and it was like a nightmare. And you do commercial stuff to sort of pay the bills, and they're great to have, and you're always grateful for them, but they're not exactly artistically fulfilling. And or fun. And it was one of those situations where I was playing a counter guy, and it's like, welcome to McDonald's, what can I get you? And I had maybe 6 lines, a 30-second commercial, and it took 3.5 hours. And it was one of those things where they were on an ISDN phone patch with New York for this series, and you're not giving them what they want, or maybe it's the producers that they're not asking for the right thing. So you never know, and when that stuff happens, you just put your head down and just go, chalk it up to a bad day.
Paycheck.
I was wondering if you guys have any memorable or special fan meetups that really stood out in your lives?
Memorable or special fan meetups?
Last year here at Youmacon, or was it the year before last, we had a fan who lives north of here, about an 1.5-hour drive north of here. Is Kim Jarvis here? Are you here? Who was that young man? I forget. It was Hunter, right? And what town is he in? Okay, well, he had come to Youmacon for years, was a big fan. He was unfortunately in a wheelchair, and I think he lost all mobility. He was quadriplegic. And was it brain cancer that took him? Well, Kim drove me up to meet him because he was such a huge fan of Youmacon. And to me, that was a very special moment, meeting his family and taking him a poster that everybody signed and some other goodies from Youmacon, just to give the love from Youmacon back to somebody who couldn't be here. He unfortunately passed away a couple of months later, but that really, truly touched me because his family, they were crying over the fact that I was there, and I'm like, no, I want to do this, don't thank me. It's just giving the love back from Youmacon, and it was very touching experience. I'm glad I got to go see Hunter before.
forward to that.
I was at a convention in Seattle, and both this happened, both in the same convention. This one guy comes up to me in the autograph line and says that he had literally just gotten off a plane from Iraq, from the battlefield, had changed and came straight to the convention to meet me. And so I had him wait, and we went outside. I spent a couple hours with him, and he told me these amazing stories about what he was going through there. But I was so honored that he did that, you know. But then while I was out there, the con chair comes up to me and says, listen, we have an attendee who really wants to meet you, but she's got some issues. She can't be in a crowd. She's really shy. She barely speaks. Could you meet her out here since you're out here already? So I said, okay, and we bring her up, and she's looking down and won't really look at me and says hello, and I introduce myself, and she just very quietly asked, can I have a hug? And so I said, sure, and I hugged her, and she burst into tears. So now I'm crying, and she's crying, and and it was the moment that I was reminded why we do this, and the impact that we have, and why I find it such a special thing that I get to come here and be with you guys, and that's, I think, how we all pretty much feel. So, don't mean to get maudlin, but that's the way.
Yeah, I think we probably all have similar experiences like that. One for me, I'll share two quick ones. One for me was at a convention in Ohio, and there was a kid that I was able to meet named Alex, and he was a big Gundam fan. And I found out that this was a Make-A-Wish situation for him, was to come to this convention and meet me because he was such a huge Gundam fan. And it blew my mind. It absolutely blew my mind. I felt so unworthy of that honor, because it really did feel like an honor. But we also sometimes have little quiet moments in big crowds that are very special. There's another one that I remember, which was at another convention where we were signing autographs in like the parkade. So we were in the parkade underground because there's renovations going on somewhere else. They had all these tables set up. It was very dark and gloomy and loud and echoey and stuff, and there was a big table like this with a ton of us there, and the line was just kind of moving through, and there was this sweet young girl, I believe her name was Sarah, and she was just by herself, so there's all this craziness going on, and she just very politely leaned across the table and said, "It's my birthday, and I love Gundam Wing. Could you sing me happy birthday as Catra, please?" And so I just leaned over the table, and it was just this little bubble of me and her amidst all the chaos. And little moments like that are things that you just kind of take home with you. And when they're, like, to tie in with the other question, we work in an industry of rejection, where people don't necessarily have to be nice to you all the time. And it's easy to get down on yourself when you're not getting this job, not getting this job, your second choice for this, second choice for that, and whatever. But some of the strength that we can gather from you guys, at least in my experience, helps me go back and keep trying to be number one. I'll be number two until I can get number one, because you guys encourage us to keep doing this, and it's important. It means a lot. So thank you for that.
Kind of sad. I think about it, like on Power Rangers, we had a lot of Make-A-Wish Foundation kids show up, take pictures, sign autographs. And a couple weeks later, we'd always see a letter, that they had passed or whatever. And that was always really super depressing. I've met plenty of people that were in Afghanistan or Iraq. I've got compasses that people have given me, because they watched Trigun or something when they're off. And so things like that are always cool. But I agree, like just meeting you guys, it's the reward, it's not like we're up here doing a play and then we get to hear you guys clap. It's like we do this work in a booth somewhere and then we kind of hope that we did a good enough job. So coming here and meeting you guys and, just at autographs, and then you guys have things that we've been in, that right there is the reward. That's like the applause, knowing that we've made a connection to you guys. So really, it's just coming and meeting you guys.
One that happened this weekend, actually happened last night, and I don't know if he's in here. His name was Chris, and if he is, you could be like, "Yo, I'm here." After one of the panels, after the Attack on Titan panel, I was standing there just kind of chatting with everybody, and this guy came up to me and he was like, "Nice to see you again," and I was like, "Nice to see you again." I don't know who you are, but he said, "I met you 2 years ago, but I look really different." So we opened up this picture, and he had a picture of me and him, and he was about 270 pounds. And that was 2 years ago, August 2012 when we met. And at that time, I had just gone through a really bad breakup, and I was working on losing weight and stuff, and I was posting little blurbs on YouTube, like maybe about 3 to 5 minutes of just me being like, "This stinks, you guys, I hate working out, but if you're doing this, believe in yourself, you're awesome," you know, and that kind of stuff, and Facebooking and stuff, just kind of monitoring my progress, not for really anybody, just kind of to keep myself in check, because I felt like if somebody was watching it, I kind of owed it to them to like keep going. And I lost like 20 pounds, and he said that those videos inspired him to lose weight, and he had heart problems and all kinds of things, and he ended up losing, oh my gosh, how much did he say? It was like over 100 pounds.
Yeah, like
110 pounds, something like that. Oh, I'm tearing up right now, like, yeah, it was amazing, and he said, "I just wanted to say thank you," and I was just like, oh. And so I lost it right there, and we loved on each other, and I hugged him, and he left, and after everybody left, Cards Against Humanity was going on, and I had to go to the bathroom and just cry in the bathroom for like 20 minutes because of this guy, and then I went outside. And called all my family, and I was like, "This guy," and then I feel like nothing I do matters, and then this guy.
Tia, I hate to tell you, John and I sent that guy to you to keep you out of Guest Against
Thank
Humanity.
you. That's what happened.
That was a totally different group. It was all set up.
But really, like when we would voice act, I mean, we're in a closet talking to ourselves. That's it. And we have the director, we have a sound guy, and that's about it. And then we go home, we do our thing, and hope we do a good enough job. And then, you know, coming here, that's what lights us up, you guys. This is amazing. We're so blessed. We're so blessed. And just thank you. And oh gosh, it gave me chills. But like, yeah, you're amazing.
My fan experience that was cool is not sad, so I feel that we should end with that one. I was at a meet and greet breakfast at Anime North last year. I met a cool dude who was dressed up as a scout trooper from Star Wars, and we started chatting. I was like, you know, man, I've always thought about like how cool it would be to get your own like set of armor and everything, and you know, I really respect what the 501st does, you know, helping with charity works and everything. And he was like, yeah, it costs a decent amount, but it lasts. Well, we chatted for a while, and I am now like an honorary friend of the Legion, like, which is like awesome. Don't let him know I'm kind of a rebel sympathizer, but yeah, I mean, I am now part of the fandom in more than one way, I was like, that's kind of cool. And then I have a weird fan story, but I'll save that for later. Lady with the white shirt. Yeah.
Okay, I was wondering how all of you got your start in voice acting, whether or not that's something that you wanted to immediately go into or if you transitioned.
How did we get our start in voice acting? Should we just run down the line?
First off, my sister takes credit for my career. She used to say that we would always do funny voices with each other, and I remembered I used to always do funny voices, not so much her. But it's cool. She's an older sister, so she can brag. I got started in the industry. I always was interested in animation and doing voice work, stuff like Animaniacs and everything. Like I just was like, this is genius. Ren and Stimpy, all those just really like turned me on, man. I really thought that was a cool thing. I never thought it would be something that was down the line for me. I ended up, I'm a stage actor, or that's where I came from. I'm like classically trained Shakespearean stuff. and I was doing a number of plays in Dallas. I did a Commedia dell'arte performance. I was Pantalone, and Sonny Strait was Dottore. Sonny Strait is Krillin, amongst many other things. And for all the people who give Krillin beef, he is the strongest human in the universe, so shut your face. And so Sonny was like, you know, man, you're a lot of fun to work with. You should come audition. And this was at the old Funimation offices, which were in Fort Worth, which is not where I want to drive ever. And so I went out there, auditioned, and nothing came of it. I was like, okay, cool. You know, at least I got out there and I tried. That Christmas, I did a Scrooge the Musical with Eric Vale. He was Jacob Marley, and I was Scrooge's nephew. And we chatted and hung out. I was, I was aware of who he was, but I tried not to geek out too hard. And eventually he was like, hey, man, you're a lot of fun to work with. You should come audition. And I was like, cool, man, yeah. So I drove out to Fort Worth, and nothing came of it. And then a year later, I'm doing Midsummer Night's Dream, Nick Bottom, the best role in the show, by the way. I was Nick Bottom, and Peter Quentz, the leader of the Rude Mechanicals, was played by Mr. Ian Sinclair. And Ian Sinclair and I are butt buddies now. Not like that. This isn't 18 pluses, no. He and I are really, really sad and how much we need each other. But yeah, he was like, hey, you're a lot of fun to work with, so why don't you come on out to audition at Funimation? And then I got cast as a Marine in One Piece. And it has continued ever since. I'm sorry.
I'll try to tell mine quick. After Power Rangers, the Japanese stunt team wanted to shoot an action film. And so they had a Japanese camera, and they cast me as the hero. And the sound guys weren't Japanese, so when it was all done, the sound was screwed up. It was just static the whole time, just shh. So I had to go in and dub myself. And as I was dubbing myself, the producer walked in and said, hey, you got a good hero voice. And at the end of the session, he said, oh, I want you to come in and audition for some animation stuff I'm doing. And so I went in and auditioned for Trigun, got the part for Vash, and that's how it started for me.
I've tried to put my finger on it because I've been asked this question before, and just recently, when I told my best friend that we were doing a Final Fantasy game, he's like, that's crazy, man. I was like, I remember the first time you ever talked about voiceover. He's got like a photographic memory, places, dates. And he said, we were sitting in your dorm room when you were 18, or whenever, and you were playing Final Fantasy X, and listening to the voices, and I was like, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna be that one of those guys. And those guys ended up, and he like remembered the moment, and those guys ended up being like, it's John DiMaggio, it's a great cast, and then to have give myself away, a decade and a half later, to sort of be doing that was my like start of when I'm gonna pursue voiceover. So I came from theater. I went through 4 years of undergrad, and then another 3 years of grad school. I got my MFA in theater, and then as soon as I left theater, I went straight to LA and just been grinding it ever since, trying to get work in voiceover. And that's it for me.
I have a theater background too. I was a theater actor in Los Angeles, which meant I was broke all the time, and mostly doing musicals. And I was desperate for work, and there was an ad in the trades to do. They wanted somebody who could sound like they were under 18, but you had to have ADR experience. So I went in, I auditioned, and I lied. And I told them I had experience. And silly people, they cast me in the lead. And that was a movie called The Sea Prince and the Fire Child, which is just recently re-released. It's an anime feature. It's pretty good. And that ended up on television, and then I get a phone call, are you the guy that played this on that was played on Showtime? And I said, yeah. He says, well, we have a little part we want you to try out for. And that turned into Robotech. And that's really kind of where my voiceover career started, and I never looked back.
All right, yeah. I know John and I are just sort of hung up on what the alternate definition of butt buddies might be. Besides butt buddies. But
We're close enough friends that we refer to each other's butts upon greeting each other.
excellent. All right then. Well, so I
You guys like rub butts when you meet? You shake them.
It's kind of like a. Did you study
Like
physics?
Like you wiggle.
Yeah,
like
study physics. It's like nothing ever actually touches. You know, it's always